Welcome, traveler, to Snarg's House of Sin.
Can feel the spark, coruscating power in the dead of night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Snarg's House of Sin. Today we're joined by Bones, or Calavera Cosplay, and Sad Robot Eli of Sugar Scrubs Podcast. I received some feedback about our previous episode that I may have been a little too loud and a little too aggressive. So today I'm using my ASMR voice for this much less chaotic episode. Bones, Eli, how are you guys doing today?
Doing much better now.
I'm not keeping this bit up.
Feeling
I'm not
good.
keeping this bit up. Fuck that. Listen, for anybody that had a problem with last week's episode, you can go fuck yourself. I'm ready. I'm ready for 10 more arguments. Shout out to HR.
Whoop, bitch.
But yeah, so as I was saying, we're joined by Bones and Eli, a couple of magic creators. Eli, even though you don't call yourself one, you are now. You are officially one of us.
That's what I'm told.
One of us.
Yeah.
One of us.
Because you guys are on like episode 4 of the podcast now.
Shit.
Correct. We
Yeah?
just
5?
launched episode 4. We'll be yeah. We need to launch
Yeah.
episode 5.
Yeah, so there you go.
Nice.
You're a content creator, my dude. You're here with us. Pretty
Yep.
soon you guys will be getting MagicCon passes as the Sugar Scrubs podcast.
I mean, hopefully. I was like, honestly, like Vegas, that's the one. Though I don't know if I put in for one, like if I should or shouldn't, because I already got one.
Yeah, I was going to say, aren't you? You are, which I guess leads us into a little shout out for you. For those that don't know, old Bones here. The, what's the official, it was second best in show or runner-up best in show?
It's best in show runner up.
Yeah.
Best in show runner up, but yeah. In
Yeah.
Killer Cosplay.
Which was a fucking great idea. I love the originality of that cosplay. Which is, I don't know if you looked at like what her whole thing was, but it's the card killer cosplay equipped to Chandra. That's fucking brilliant. I love that.
Oh, okay. I saw some of the pictures, right, of you in the killer cosplay. Cosplay. It was cute. I loved it. Very good. But yeah, that's even better now that it's like connected to Chandra, because Chandra's like girl.
Yeah. My love. Yeah. I see Doggo put it up for repping the red clan over here.
That's up for you, yeah.
I
love
have
it.
my,
My wife-
anime Jace versus Chandra right here.
I'll
Behind
take
me.
it.
My wife's not super
has
thrilled.
the Chandra shrine. Why? She's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's just the idea of having a giant poster of a gorgeous woman up in the office where she does her work for a living.
Oh, yeah. I used
Takes
to
her
have
business meetings.
a whole like a long wall scroll of Harley Quinn that Eli got me, and he's like, during the pandemic, he's like, you need to take it down. I was like, why?
Keep in mind, I was working remote and we didn't have that virtual backdrop. So what you're seeing in Bones' backdrop just was my official HR work backdrop.
Yeah, that's my wife's too.
Yeah.
Her
fine.
like workspace is literally right next to me, so everything on that wall is visible. So even the we can get away with the play mats because it looks like memorabilia or something, but
Yeah.
giant poster of a flaming woman, a little hard to justify.
Think
But
it's
yeah, so,
fine. We're all good.
Back on track though. That cosplay. How did you come up with that idea? Because that's amazing.
I did. So I had already kind of loved the idea of doing killer cosplay when I did Vegas. Whenever it was Magic 30. I did Chandra that year, and that was exactly when Infinity came out, and I remember seeing killer cosplay, and I'm like, that would be such a fun like little costume to do. And I remember being like, I want to do this. Like, it funny enough, may not win anything, but like it wasn't meant to be a winning piece. It was meant to be fun. And actually I had a buddy who was like, well, it's an equipment. Why don't you equip it to something? And I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. And yeah, I had a lot of people ask if I was Chandra Bowser, That was interesting.
Okay.
I can see that.
I can
mean,
see it.
Yeah. I will say though, one thing I love, Bones, is that like a lot of like cosplayers or competitors in anything, they like fake humility, like, oh, you know, I didn't think this, I didn't think that, I was just doing it for fun. But with you, there's actual tangible proof that you were humble about it, because the moment when you won is one of the most classic moments I've ever been present for. Your face, you just like, you were so disassociated, and it was just like, and people were like shaking you. They were like, you won, go get your trophy.
You gotta get up there, go do it.
I was showing my friend who plays Magic, and she just wasn't able to go, and I just saw her for the first time yesterday, and I was like, oh, I have to show you it, and I showed two, like, there's the initial face where I won, but there's also a bit where I think in my brain the most I gave myself was like maybe taking my category, and even then I was like, it's a giant green onesie, like, this not gonna happen. So after they announced expert, I have it on video where you hear them say, like, on to runner-up and best in show, and I literally just go, I just like, no. I was just like, me? Couldn't happen. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was watching that video, and I was laughing at myself, because obviously the moment happens and I freeze and I see my face, and, like, what is it, Creative Kitty Studios and Air Bubbles kind of like push me out, and I like pose, and I see myself where I kind of put my hands in front, and I'm like, what do I do now?
I'm not prepared for this.
I didn't get this far in my head.
Yeah, I literally stood there, and I kind of like looked around, and then I like happened to look far enough to see Olivia with the trophy, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you. So I like ran up there, and I was like, thank you. I
That
actually
was...
came back and talked to Creative Kitty. I was just like, I didn't listen to what they said to do if you won. Like, I was
Yeah,
like,
you-
I wasn't paying attention because it wasn't applying to me.
You
So
were in like a
why
whole
would I
nother
listen to
world.
that?
I love that.
it's just like, I sat there, I was just like, they said don't leave, and then what was going to happen? I stopped listening after don't leave, because I didn't think I was going to be in this position.
The girl boss too close to the sun.
That's
Yeah.
why it helps to have your personal HR rep
real.
with you.
Yep.
Yeah. Honestly, like, you guys have like such a great arrangement, because you have a built-in manager with you at all these events, because you travel with your husband, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
I do have to say that implies that I have any sort of managerial control. In which
That's
I
true.
do not. She's just on her own ride, and I'm tagging along, trying to just keep it on some sort of rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about like a, cosplay artistic manager person. That's what James does.
Yeah, professional handler.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing, and he's like, oh, okay, well, you've got to worry about like these kind of things, and I'm like, no, it's fine, don't worry about it. And he's like,
it's like it's not fine. It's not fine.
The amount of times that comes up, it's like, no, you need to have more than half a meal a day. She's like, no, I'll just drink coffee. It'll be fine. It's like, no.
God.
coffee is totally a meal.
It's
And-
really not.
and
It's
I
really
saw-
not.
no, listen, no, but okay, listen. I saw. Have you guys seen the baldish white guy on TikTok that talks about like menstrual cycles and like things like women's health care?
You are the
Yes,
worst.
actually.
You
He's
are the
like a nurse.
worst
Okay.
about trying to
I
explain
don't
who
know
you're
if
talking
he's a
about.
nurse. I don't know if he's a nurse or not. He's not the EMT dude. He's an actual like medical person. Anyways, he said and backed it up with science that coffee is hydrating.
Okay. So I'm
So,
gonna listen.
That counts as a meal. That's
As
the
a
whole meal.
former EMT, okay, an emergency medical technician.
Yeah.
I hate to sound like a boomer here. Do not get your health advice from a single TikTok video that you saw one time.
I'm gonna link it in
Do-
the description below
do-
the TikTok video.
Do a teeny bit more research before you swap out all of your water with coffee,
I
because
mean, I don't have any water to begin with, so I'm
Caffeine-
gonna take the advice that the coffee counts as hydration.
listen, there is water in coffee, but caffeine
Yes.
100% dehydrates your body. Caffeine and coffee is caffeinated water.
But it has like other health benefits, like
Sugar.
minerals, maybe, and oh yeah,
Cool.
sugar and creamer.
Cool.
That's dairy.
The fact that your defense was minerals? Drink water, for the love of God.
Vitamin water.
The amount of IVs I have had to give to people who tried to argue with me that coffee is a good balance for water. It's not. You need to drink water.
I was like, I'll give you the pitch for this later.
Is that the glowing bottle? Eli told us you have a story about that.
You
It's
don't
like
have to pitch it. It glows. It lights up. I'm sold. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like,
I
as
mean-
long as it's under, like, $40, I don't fucking
it's more
care.
than that, I think.
Oh, no.
Well, like, yeah, it's basically a smart water bottle. I'm atrocious at drinking water, which in the desert you have to. So it basically tells my ADD brain that we're going to gamify this, but it gives me a goal, and there'll be times where I'll chug like 32 ounces because I'm like, I am not far off. I'm going to do it. So basically it has a goal for the day, and the bottom of it will light up if I'm behind on it. So earlier you saw it flashing. I just haven't had enough water, so it's been like
Oh.
lighting up to tell me to drink it. And then once I drink
definitely
it,
need that.
it'll weigh it, and then it'll light up. So I get the satisfaction of like, I did it. And then if I get my goal, it does like a whole like light show, and I'm like, yes.
Ooh, I need one of those. We will. Are you affiliate link with that at all?
I mean, I will figure out how to do it because I love this water bottle. I need
We
to buy a
might put an
smaller one for
affiliate
cons.
link in the description below. Who knows? We're not sponsored, but I have severe ADHD, and I don't remember to do shit. So, like, I'm surprised that I was able to take my antibiotics for a whole 10 days. Like,
See,
Proud
my
of
wife
myself.
and I tried to gamify drinking water. We tried to get those bottles that have like the times and everything. I just couldn't stick to it, but she found a different way that like my overly competitive brain, if she texts me her bottle that has like half left, I'm like, well, fuck that. And I chug the whole damn thing. And I'm like, I'm fucking done. I'm on my second bottle. And then my stomach hurts and I have to go pee a lot.
Yeah,
It's,
I used to do the time ones too, and it worked really well for a while, and then it like I wasn't good at keeping to it, and this has been like I haven't been as good at it. Like I haven't been hitting my goal consistently, but I've been getting like way closer. Like at least I have more than 8 ounces of water a day.
Yeah.
I
The amount of
played
times
the,
that go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
No,
ahead.
you're the
allowed to
guest.
Talk.
I was
King.
gonna say,
Talked it
The
all.
amount of times that water bottle that had the times, she would just wait for it to come back around the next day and continue where she left off the day prior.
That's not how that works.
It's fine. It counts. It's 3 o'clock. I drank that much. By 3 o'clock, it's fine.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I get that.
This is why
I
I needed this one.
I
Yeah.
played the replica game app where you're like turned into a little RPG character, and every time you do a habit, you get like experience points or whatever. I was able to do that for like a solid month, where I drank an actual amount of water every day, and then I didn't for 2 days, and I haven't opened it since.
Yep. I used to have like I think it was like Water Llama, one of those like water tracking, and it was fun for a little bit. So like the fact that this lights up, like I'll have moments where I'm like, I'll see it and I'm like, oh fuck, okay, I'll go drink some. I haven't had any that day, but like it yells at me and I'm like, okay.
It'll
I
be
guess.
fine, I guess. Stupid
I think it-
water bottle that's not even a person or have feelings.
Bones, I think it also helps people like you and I to have people like Eli in our lives. Because, like, I'll be honest, without my wife, I probably died 2 years ago. Like, because I think I was living off straight, like, Red Bulls and pizza for, like, 6 years. And it's like, organs were starting to shut down. And then my wife was like, hey, have you ever heard of water? It's
No.
good for you.
Bill.
Disagree.
Yeah. Well, you're wrong. Don't subsidize water with coffee, please. To all of our listeners, that is bad advice.
Don't
not.
subsidize water with coffee. Oh, go to the doctor if your heel hurts too bad and you can't walk on it. Oh my!
Yeah, you probably
ever
have a
get that
broken
checked out?
bone.
Yeah.
No, she didn't. You know what she did? She Googled what it might be and was like, "See, I'm fine."
It's cancer.
Yeah,
WebMD.
It's
No,
it's
no.
probably plantar fasciitis. It's fine.
She looked it up and then went with the best possible option and went, "Well, it's probably this." It's like, or you have a loose piece of bone. Like,
It's fine. And you should be proud of me because I did go to the doctor about 12 days ago.
did you get your
Not
foot
for
checked?
my foot. Nope.
Then I'm not
I
proud
had
of
strep
you.
throat.
No, you're wrong. I'm not proud of you.
I had strep throat and I went to the doctor because it hurt to swallow.
Fantastic. Why couldn't you just bring up your foot while you were there?
Because then she told me that my eye looked funny and apparently I also had pink eye. So, like, that was two things. I didn't want another thing.
God. But you have it, though. It doesn't matter if you want it. You have it. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm starting to get... Hang on. Let me bring it... Shout out to
get
HR.
that ASMR voice
breath.
back. Don't get the people
Listen.
be mad at you.
Listen, Izzetrix, I think that it's important that when your foot is too painful to stand on, you maybe get that checked out.
Eventually.
It's not like we're getting any younger, you know. You need that foot.
I know, we're so old. Oh my
I
god.
know.
Oh.
We are old. Yeah, Bones, your video really your video made my knees hurt, if I'm being honest. Like, it was a great video and it's a great point and it's definitely something worth talking about. But for those that have not seen it, go check out her TikTok page. It's really good. Give her a follow. But you did a video recently, I think, today, right?
Yeah, I posted
yeah.
it this morning.
Yeah, literally this morning, being like, it's okay to be a nerd in our 30s. You know, it's never too late. And I'm like, oh God, I'm in my 30s. My knees hurt.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a good point. I mean, it's true. Like, I know me personally, like I was very closeted about my nerddom early on, but that's because I come from like an alpha Chad bro like society. Like all my brothers are alpha Chad bros. All my friends were. So like I really suppressed my nerdiness until my mid-20s, and then didn't really start expressing it until maybe a few years ago. Really with TikTok, if I'm being honest. So yeah, it's really it's never too late to be who you are.
It's funny enough
I'll
that you
say-
said that. Go
Go
ahead,
for it,
Bones.
babe. No, it's fine.
We're gonna get into a fight about this.
Oh my God,
Because
you
we're
guys are
not
so
in the
cute.
same room and I can't pick up your cues of
I
like
know.
when you're gonna talk. Like this
Wait,
is,
hold
this
on,
is
quick side
abnormal
note.
for us.
Did you call her Bub? Because that's literally what I call my wife.
No,
Yeah.
Bones.
I think so.
Oh, I thought you said, go ahead, Bub.
No, Bones.
Okay. I was like, damn it. I thought we could relate on that.
Nope.
Anyway.
You're on an
Anyway,
island there.
He's
we'll
got
do
the
this.
built-in
We'll do
nickname.
this classroom style because we've never had two guests on before. As the teacher, Eli, you had something to say?
Yeah, no, this is actually that was part of the most recent recording we had of the Sugar Scrubs podcast. Selfless plug. But we actually cut that portion in which I delved a little bit into that part of my journey. And funny enough, what got me out of it was tattoos. Was taking my
Interesting.
nerddom and like literally putting it on my skin where it's not something I could just walk away from. Now, yeah, you can put a shirt on or something along those lines, but putting it out there where it's like I can't run away from myself anymore really makes you
Yeah.
reflect and start to begin to accept those things you want to accept. It's a weird balance. And then you have someone like Bones who's just like, yeah, you should go get more ink. You should go get more ink. And it's like, no, my wallet can't handle that.
I really want to get more tattoos, but I married into a harsh Catholic family that if my mother-in-law finds out I even have tattoos, she might douse me in holy oil. So
I mean, you're fine. I'm Catholic. I'm Irish Catholic on one side and Mexican Catholic on the other, and I haven't burned yet.
oh God.
And
No,
my uncle's
honestly-
a priest,
okay.
by the way. My uncle's
Honestly-
a priest.
Honestly, and this is super morbid, and honey, when you listen to this later, I'm sorry in advance. But once her mom, like, I am tattooing my entire body. Like I have been literally holding back for years since I started dating her. But like I want full sleeves. I want like visible tattoos. All mine are in like hideable places.
Aw,
and
look
I
at
wear-
you being
I-
all respectful and shit.
Yeah, and like whenever I'm at like the beach and stuff, I wear like button ups with short sleeves to try to hide things. But once she's out of the picture, fuck all that. I'm inking up. So
Yeah, my
See, you
mom's
say
a
that,
vegetarian
yeah, she's gonna
vampire.
outlast.
Yeah, she's staying alive just in spite of me at this point.
Them Latin mothers don't go anywhere, trust me.
Yeah.
Where my mom just siphons the energy off of men, and I'm like, how? How? How are you 70 and still look so good?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. That's
Well, I have
it's all the
nerdy
tacos.
tattoos,
Tacos keep
and
you young.
my family doesn't care, so I do not share in your issues, doggo. That is my input on the thing. I do have magic tattoos, though.
Very, very helpful, Iz. Thanks.
Yep, no problem.
I get
I
to express
definitely-
myself.
I was definitely very worried to show my mom my tattoos, but then I got my second one and I told her, and I was surprised. I thought she was gonna lose her shit, and she did not. I was like, "What the fuck?" This is not the reaction I was expecting. I guess she couldn't be
Yeah,
too mad at me because one of them is a Day of the Dead tattoo. So
Ah, fair enough.
I got my first one when I wasn't on speaking terms with my family, and then I came back with a tattoo. And then my cat skull, I got it, didn't tell anybody, and then I showed it off at like Thanksgiving or something, and I was like, "Hey, look at this!" And I pull my pants down and show my family the side of my butt with a giant cat skull on it now, and I was like, "Look at this! It was free!" And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no, free, sure, whatever. That seems great."
Yeah, I don't see any part of that story flying in a Catholic Bolivian household.
And then I got my Houndoom, which is right here on my sternum. And I was like, "Look at this! It's my favorite Pokemon because it's kind of like a Doberman, and I really want to have a Doberman dog." And they're like, "Oh, you know, your mom used to have a Doberman," and so yeah, they like him.
I don't know how I would explain Pokemon to her mom. That would be an interesting one. Because I do eventually want to get a tattoo with my original 6 team from Pokemon, because, I mean, I love that franchise. It's been a big part of my life. But, like, I don't know how I would explain to somebody who, like, did not grow up in the U.S., immigrated here, doesn't speak the greatest English, doesn't understand a lot of American pop culture. I don't know how I would explain Pokemon. It's like, okay, so it's like these animals, but we enslave them, and we make them fight each other. But it's cartoons, so it's okay. And yes, I'm a full-grown adult.
I mean, Pokemon is cross. It's not just U.S.
I was gonna say it was really popular when I was growing up in Mexico. Like when I would go visit my family, I so much so that I have my uncle like didn't care, but like I went to Catholic school, so like my school was like, you can't have any Pokemon stuff. But then I have like a cousin.
It's the
and
devil.
Her pretty much. They also tried to tell me Harry Potter, and I was like, my uncle, who's a Catholic priest, literally bought me the book, so I don't like. I have so many loopholes. It was great. But yeah, yeah. I was like, my uncle says he's fine, and he's like BFS with the deacon of the Diocese of Tucson, so you can go fuck off. But my uncle and his wife went into like I call it a cult, but that's me. Just a very strict Christian thing. Like my cousins were not allowed to watch it. Like
Interesting.
very much like it cannot come into the house, but like it was the popular thing. So it was interesting when I would come with Pokemon and Pokemon cards, and they would be like, "Yeet," and I was like, "No,
Yeah.
can't throw away my shit."
Those are mine.
I know anime definitely had, like, a good base in Mexico, but my wife's family's from Bolivia.
Chokehold.
And to our 0 Bolivian listeners, I apologize if I misrepresent your culture. But in my limited amount of research, having married a member of that community, I don't think Bolivia had a strong, like, pop culture influence from, like, really anything from the United States or Japan or anything like that. I think DBZ might have made its way down there, because
I would be
I know-
surprised
Not
if
everywhere.
it didn't.
yeah, because I remember seeing when Toriyama passed away recently, there were like parades all throughout South America,
Yep.
and the Mexican cartel fucking agreed to a ceasefire in Toriyama's honor. I mean, that's wild.
Yep.
But
Yep. Anime
But-
has
That's
a
great.
chokehold in Latin countries. It's crazy.
it is
Saint
a
Seiya.
little interesting.
Yes.
Oh, did you say Saint Seiya?
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
big
I-
one.
literally just had a conversation with Ozzy from Family of the Gathering. We were talking about he's introducing DBZ to Bo and Sailor Moon to Stella. So I was talking to him of like Sailor Moon's the one that I like to watch in Spanish because they was literally like Saturday morning cartoons like
Yeah.
for this. And he's like, you ever heard of Saint Seiya? And I literally like showed him the picture of the entire box set my cousin got for me from Mexico because I cannot listen to that in any other language except Spanish because it's the only place I've seen it. So we just had this like in-depth conversation of Saint Seiya.
Honestly, like, I thought I was going crazy. So when I was young, like pre-high school, I grew up in a part of New Jersey where the population is 99.9% white. And, like, my brother and I loved Saint Seiya, but, like, nobody fucking knew what it was. And we thought we were crazy. Like, oh, it's this indie anime. And then when I moved to where I currently live, without doxing myself, it's one of the most diverse places on Earth. And I started meeting people that are like, oh, yeah, we grew up with that in, you know, Mexico and in Honduras and, like, all these things. And I'm like, oh, so it just wasn't an American thing. Okay, that makes sense. I get it now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Such a shame. It's so good too.
It's so good. I mean, truth be told, it doesn't hold up super well, but it was really good back then.
So good.
But yeah, Sailor Moon was one too that I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but like Sailor Moon was it was like 4 or 5 shows that I like secretly was in love with because, you know, again, Alpha Chad Bro family is like, you can't watch Sailor Moon, that's gay. It was Sailor Moon, it was Powerpuff Girls, and it was Totally Spies.
Yeah.
I loved those 3 fucking shows.
Those in your fucking childhood. Those are all.
And if like my brother would walk in, I'd be like, oh man, my remote's not working. I don't know how to change the channel. And, like Totally Spies is playing, and as soon as he leaves, I'm like, I love you, Clover. But yeah, it is interesting though that you have a Catholic background, because I think that makes every single guest so far that has somehow been connected to the church, right? It's like a weird connection we keep finding with all of our guests.
Yeah, because like Chuki learned how to play magic in church.
Yep.
In a
Catholic
all
church,
of you.
no less.
Yeah.
I think the only one we didn't check on was Soul. I don't know if his family has a religious background. And I guess, Eli, you're here. I don't know if you have a religious background.
Yeah, but not Catholic and not that serious. A very liberal
Dirty
branch.
Protestant.
Fair enough. Yeah, that doesn't count. Like, y'all have freaking fried chicken cookouts after every service? Or no, that was the Baptists.
Yeah, Southern Baptists.
Yeah.
We did strawberry festival in my church. So that was fun.
Yeah, mine was
Great
just
story.
Like, you're done, and then my mom was like, "Let's fucking dip." Unless we went to the Spanish mass, and then all of my friends were there, and so then we were stuck there for 8 hours because Latin goodbyes.
Yeah, going to the Spanish services like on like Christmas and stuff with my wife and her mother is so hard because I speak like 10 words of Spanish. I've learned enough to know when I'm being talked about, which in church is never. So, and like the Christmas services in Catholic churches are so freaking long. So you're just sitting there staring at a guy you can't understand for like 2 hours, constantly standing up and sitting down and kneeling and everything. By the end of it, I feel like I've gotten a full workout. I'm dying to not stay awake because, or to not fall asleep because her mom will literally just choke me right in the middle of church. So, yeah, it's fun.
Sounds about right.
I love it.
It's so funny that
and
you
if you're
say
listening, I
obviously,
love you.
the standing up and standing down, which is like the comment that Eli does whenever we like have to go for some reason, like the time my uncle bamboozled us into mass. He's like, it's my retirement party. We show up and I'm like, this motherfucker like forgot to mention that it was a mass beforehand. Thankfully I had like a roughly appropriate outfit, you know? And I was just like super bamboozled. But it was one time we went to like a service on Eli's not Catholic, but you know, religious side. And I was like, it's been an hour. Like, how much more? He's like, I don't know. I was like, what the fuck do you mean how much more? That's the one good thing about a Catholic service. It starts and it ends. It's an hour. Like, It's no more than that. Like, how much longer do we have to be in this building?
Oh my gosh, really? I went to a Catholic wedding and it was the short
Weddings are
version.
different.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I was gonna say.
I learned a fun fact about Catholic weddings by having one.
Oh.
So I was trying to get one of my friends to object because I thought it would be hilarious. But apparently in the Catholic Church, when they do the does anybody object, if somebody says yes, the service stops. And they
Yes.
will not proceed for 24 full hours. That person
that.
has to, they have to be given a chance to present their case. And even if the person says, no, I'm joking, and sits back down, it's like in their Catholic law, the priest has to stop the service.
Yeah, you
I didn't know that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, we found out, I'm not sure if my wife wants me putting our whole business out there, but I found out a funny lesson too. One of our bridesmaids actually fainted in the middle of the service, like literally like clonk down. It was loud. The priest never like stopped even a second. And
you just leave her there?
Yeah, and like he didn't stop talking or anything. He didn't even like flinch. And I tried, because I was an EMT at the time, so I tried to go. My wife kept grabbing me and she was like, no, there's other people in the audience. It's fine. And I found out later that apparently, again, it's like a Catholic thing. Under no circumstance can they stop once they've started. So like even if there's like an emergency, the priest needs to finish the service. Otherwise, like it causes a whole chain of like delays, and like then they have to do the whole delaying thing again.
Bones, I will say we loopholed ours, so I don't know if we
did.
can speak with any sort of authority
Not
on
for
this
our
one.
wedding, but like my cousin had his wedding. It was a Catholic wedding, and like the bride passed out.
Oh Jesus!
So I was just
Did
like,
the priest stop talking?
Yeah, like everything
Okay.
stopped. So that's why I was like, I wonder if like if
Maybe
that's,
bride
like,
and groom are exempt.
I don't know. I mean,
I
I've
don't
seen
know.
people pass out, and my uncle stops all the time. So I don't know.
Maybe our priest was just a dick and he lied. I don't know.
I don't know. My uncle's like funny enough. Like people think like Catholic priests he'd be stuffy. He's actually like surprisingly chill about most things. Like he bought me tickets. Like took me to Vegas when I turned 21. That's his favorite
Oh, wow.
place to go. He likes to
Oh.
buy. He likes to get ice cream, and he sits at the old strip, and he'll just people watch.
Speaking of Vegas, I still to this day do not understand how you survived doing the killer cosplay in Vegas.
Funny enough, I was hotter in Chicago.
That's wild to me.
I was
Well, was
hotter in
Vegas
Chicago.
hot? I didn't go to Vegas. Was Vegas hot? What like?
I mean, it's in the Nevada desert?
Yeah, but
it
I mean,
was
like,
shorts
Vegas,
weather.
I went to Vegas and it was like 110, but it wasn't terrible.
Oh,
Because
well,
it's
I forget that you two live in a literal portal to hell in the United States. You calling that shorts weather, I was like, bro, it was hot as fuck. What are you talking about?
It was under 100.
then
Okay,
it's
yeah, it was
fine.
like 99.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
under 100. But yeah, I was hotter in Chicago.
That's interesting. Although that might actually make sense to me though, because and this kind of leads into a topic I want to get y'all's perspective on. Chicago sucked from my perspective. The venue, ironically, the largest convention center in the United States, they used the smallest room in the building to have the main floor. So you were like nut to butt with complete strangers the whole time. And so it was pretty hot in there. I'm sorry, is shoulder to shoulder is with
Forever heard nut to butt. as
You've never
a-
heard nut to butt?
No.
I've heard it.
Yeah.
Okay. HR Eli's like shoulder to shoulder is better.
This is HR after hours. Like, that's flying.
Shout out
here.
to HR. Best fucking.
Do
I'm
you
sorry.
actually do HR stuff? Is that your job,
Yeah.
or is he just
Yeah,
being silly?
yeah. No, yeah, that,
Oh,
that
okay.
came up at Chicago.
It's one of my favorite memories from the whole con. It was during our panel why am I blanking on her name? Emmy, Coral Pecan. She also worked in HR to some capacity, and she mentioned that, and as soon as she said HR, Eli from like the back row was like, he was like, woo! And like, everybody just let it go. We go down the line. Everybody's doing their thing. And I looked really disturbed because I watched the video back. I'm so bothered by this. And then once it got quiet, I grabbed the mic and was like, "Are we not gonna draw attention to the fact that somebody just wooed for HR?" And then
I was just like, that's my person, my person.
Bones, I think you said like "Welcome to my world" or something.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I think I said it later. I think we started talking about something HR, and we made some comment, and then I said something along the lines of, like, welcome to my life.
Yeah. Well, I kept saying shout out to HR from that point on. And, like, I honestly, Eli, I didn't know it was you that said it, because it caught me so off guard that, like, I was trying to do that panel thing, like, I'm trying to make eye contact with as many people as possible, and when I heard it, I was like, who the fuck just shouted out HR? So funny.
I was gonna say,
So
Bones takes me to cons and just takes the filter off.
James somehow ended up on HR TikTok.
There's an HR
Apparently-
TikTok?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, you know how, like, just like Magic TikTok? Apparently there's, like, HR TikTok, and he's in it.
Okay.
Like, that's what he gets on his feed.
But
and
hold on.
apparently y'all have some, like, good stories.
It's where all
Oh,
the
yeah.
chisme is.
Okay, see, that makes sense. Because that was my thing. I was like, you know, you comparing it to Magic TikTok, like, that's a even fair comparison. Like, okay, Magic
It's a
TikTok, I
niche.
can see lots of topics. HR, what is that about? Like, does the person just get in front of the camera and be like, now here's what you can't say?
No, they, like, fucking spill the tea without, like, not naming the company or the people. They're, like, generic company. I had, like, this issue with Susan and Bobby and blah, 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 blah. And apparently it's got some good tea on there.
Oh yeah, you get some of the best stories in HR.
Yeah. I used to be an HR nightmare in my early youth.
HR nightmare, not an HR worker.
No. My biggest problem with and why I was constantly being spoken to by HR was not like anything inappropriate. I'm not like a predator or anything. But like I got put into a position of leadership at way too young of an age. So like I would start meetings out by, let's get this shit started. You can't do that. Or like when the company does something bad or we get an award for something and I go, get wrecked, motherfucker. That's not appropriate to say in a Zoom call. I don't fucking know. So, yeah. Many times I would get the, hey, Brandon, can you stay late after this meeting, please? We want to have a couple words. Yeah. And yes, as I realize I just doxed myself, you can beep that
Not a
out.
marker, I might be able to bleep that.
It's the first time I've ever done that.
That's the first time you've ever said your name out loud besides,
Although-
like, the time I put it in my phone. And you're still in my phone as Mr. Dogodude. And then fucking Siri, whenever you text me, is like, Mister would like to speak to you. Do you want to respond to Mister? And I'm like,
That sounds like some BDSM shit.
yeah, I know. And I'm like, it's not like that.
Also, it's only fair. Andre and I doxed you about 112 times in episode 2.
You really did. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
That episode, there was a lot.
A lot of clip markers.
Anyway.
Boop, 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 boop.
Anyway, back to convention talk. Yeah, so you two, I think have you been to all the Magic Cons in the US?
No,
I know you were at Vegas. I know you were at
Mostly go to
Chicago.
Vegas. Yeah.
Oh, did you two not go to Philly or Minneapolis?
No.
Okay. Well, then you've been to as many Magic Cons as I have, because I've only been to Philly and Vegas. And,
Yeah.
Or no. Yeah, Philly, Vegas, and Chicago. So actually, I've been to one more than you. Never mind. I'm an idiot. I can count.
Well, we've done
been
Vegas
to
twice.
3. We've done Vegas twice.
Oh, Vegas twice. There you go. So we're tied. So, as somebody who has gone to... Shut the fuck up, Iz. I see you. I see your face.
I've been to more bigger events than that. You wanna,
They don't
I was
count
gonna
if they're
say,
not
we
Magic
also
Cons.
we have other convention experience as well. So
For sure. But what I'm trying to lead into is specifically Chicago Con and the challenges and feelings
space.
that I have about it. Honestly, it was more than just space, but I'll just like last time, I'm not going to lead the witness. I'm curious from your two's perspective. How did you feel about Chicago? What were your ups? What were your downs? What would you change? What did you love? Talk.
Bones, you want to take it first?
talk people.
sure. I will say
And
I
podcast, go.
think I will say I think in general, like at least my personal experience was pretty good. I like the convention was small. surprising for having a sold out convention that there wasn't like more space, especially I think you said it before, but the creepy room, so it was just like the second floor just had plenty of space that could have been modified and opened.
Yeah, the creepy rooms.
Yeah. I found it interesting of the communication within like the staff of like, I don't know where the lack of communication was, if that was like WotC not communicating to the event staff or the event
Reed
staff
Pop.
not communicating with each other. But there was times where people would be like, oh, you can't go down that escalator. And I was like, what are you talking about? Eli literally just went down the escalator. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, he literally just went down the escalator. And we would turn
there he is,
around.
right there. There he is.
Yeah,
I see him.
they were literally like feet apart, and they let one down and not the other. Right? Am I
Yeah,
representing that right?
They had
so
the
like
coat
Eli
check
went down
downstairs.
to go
Yeah.
the coat check. Yeah, Eli went down
Yeah.
for the coat check, and I said, I'll grab everybody and we'll meet you downstairs. And everybody was like, oh, we need to go this way. And I was like, what are you talking about? Eli literally just went down. And they're like, no, they're not letting you. And we like walked around the corner, and they were letting people down again. I will say, I think I maybe would have had different opinions on it if I had more time to play. Because I know that the few times that we wanted to get games in, it was hard to find. But the cosplay competition took up so much of Saturday that it was a problem, and I could see how people would find it a bigger problem if that's like what you were going for.
Yeah. It just seemed like the whole thing was so chaotically, weirdly unorganized. Because like even the Huatley dinosaur statue thing, it was the roll of a dice whether or not it was roped off and said you can't sit on it, and then you like come back 5 minutes and the ropes are gone and there's people sitting on it. It's like, can we or can we not? And it wasn't like people were taking it off because there were staff standing right there. So it was just little things like that, the lack of space, and yeah, like that's why I think your both of your perspective is interesting, because yeah, you were more, kind of on during the con versus like, outside of the panel. I wasn't doing shit all weekend. I wasn't there as a creator. So like I had a lot of challenges trying to get games in, but different, I guess, reasons for us to be there.
I will say that there is one thing that I've noticed, and I can compare this to other conventions, is if you were going to MagicCon Chicago as if you were going to another, like say an anime con or something like that, where you're looking for social interaction, I think it was great. If you were looking to play, they were not set up for that. So it's weird to think of it as a MagicCon was not designed to be able to play Magic at. But if you didn't go to actually play Magic and instead just meet people and connect and go to different collector booths and hunt for cards, it was fantastic. But if you went to play, it was rough. It was rough from start to finish. And there were some other content creators I really wanted to connect with, and I never could. Part of it was Bones' victory, which we were so excited for.
Oh, way to go to win.
How fucking dare you?
Yeah, what the heck?
What a piece of shit.
Well, when you were talking about how humble Bones was, we were planning on what happens when the cosplay competition ends. She'll go back, get changed, and then we'll just continue on with the rest of our night. And as soon as she won, both of us looked at each other and we're like, well, all of that went out the window. We have no idea what tonight looks like. But in reality, that's what it was we were unable to connect with people, mainly because you just couldn't play. There was no table space. And I remember one of the groups I wanted to play with, they found some spots in like the white section tables that weren't being used for ticketed play until they were, and then they got booted, and there was nowhere else to go. And so the lobby cons were good. The social interaction was good. If you wanted to connect with people, especially if you're coming across the country like we were, it was fantastic. But if you wanted to actually play Magic, that was not the space for it.
I always feel weird, though, like, when I talk about the conventions, specifically the Magic cons, because those are the only ones I go to, because I'm a little baby Magic player and I don't compete in things. But, like, I always feel weird when I talk about the Magic cons and I talk about the good things and I bring up stuff like LobbyCon, because when I really think about these lobby cons and I look around and I see who's there, it's all creators, right? Not necessarily like the biggest creators, like any creator is like welcome there, but it's very few like randos from off the internet. And so it like it's hard for me to give credit to the convention when there's thousands of people who paid just as much to be there as I did, traveled maybe just as far, and are missing out on that integral part that, for me, saves these conventions. Like, I can say for sure, Vegas and Chicago, at least 80% of my fun times were had outside of the convention center, not at the convention center itself. So it's just like a weird perspective that I always try to like keep in mind when I think about these cons. But
Have you guys did you guys do large Magic, specifically conventions, prior to COVID? I'm not talking to you, doggo. No?
No, but we
So-
did do Comic Cons.
Okay.
Well,
bring
well,
that
so,
energy
like,
down
I
like
used to-
4%.
I used to do the Star City Games tour back before COVID. That was my full-time job, basically. I did that selling my altars. So I was there all the time, and then COVID. That I'm wondering if the size of the attendees is starting to pick back up, and the planners aren't prepared for those large numbers again. Because I just went to SCG Philly, what was that, a couple of weeks ago? The beginning of the month, maybe? And there was no space. I went because it was like an hour away. There was absolutely no spaces for regular people to play. There was hardly any actual walking room. It was nuts to butts in there. And there were
Nut-
people...
It's just nut to butt.
Oh.
It's not. I can't put my nuts on multiple butts. That's.
If
I
you
mean,
spread
not
them
with
out,
that attitude.
I mean,
like you could
it's
like
just-
bat wing it and then
Let's just
spread
go
it out.
shoulder to shoulder. Don't. For those at home, don't Google bat winging. It's not as bad as the Alabama Hot Pocket, but it's still, you don't want to get an image of that.
Hey, I knew that though. Look at me.
I'm happy
Anyways.
for you.
Thanks. There were people
I've-
upstairs
I've been surprised
by
bat
the-
winged too many times.
by the check-in counter in the lobby, fucking just sitting on the floor playing. So do you guys think that maybe Magic is starting to pick back up again in public spaces, and the organizers just aren't prepared?
I find that looking at Vegas, like specifically Magic 30, they did it at a different convention, and kind of the same problem. They had like spots, like standing spots, and then they moved convention centers, and that convention center had way more space. So I think like they understand because they upped it for Vegas, and I would find it hard that they wouldn't take like the numbers that they had at Vegas and transfer it to Chicago and not look for like similar capacity or size. That's
So
why I'm wondering
Vegas
if it
is
was
all-
the convention center.
Vegas has always been an anomaly, so I wouldn't necessarily use Vegas as a comparison, because Vegas normally sells out. Like Vegas had like one of the biggest GPs ever.
Yeah,
and
but
it's Vegas, so like more people go. So
I think the point that she's getting at, and correct me if I'm mansplaining your point, it's that with Vegas, they recognized the space was not proper and they moved it to a bigger place. Whereas in Chicago, they just didn't. Which
they moved Vegas during Vegas.
No, just
they
before
moved,
Magic
they moved
30.
the next convention.
Yeah, the next
Yeah.
year they moved
Magic
it to a bigger
30,
venue.
they
Oh,
moved it
I
to
see
a
what you're
bigger
saying.
convention.
Vegas
And it-
1 was at a bad place, so they learned from that and did
It
Vegas
moved
2
it
at
to
a
a
different.
bigger place.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
is. I'm trying to like think if you had opened everything of like the creepy room and like everything on top, I would say probably a little bit bigger than that. But,
Vegas was
like,
huge.
Vegas was massive, but I'm saying
Yeah.
yes, babe.
I was
You
gonna say
probably
Magic
you can decipher Bones talk.
Magic 30 was also where they did the specific like commander pass area where they had an
That-
area sectioned off for commander players only that no one used, and mid convention they recognized that, pivoted and opened it up, and that was really nice. And then the next year they learned. But I do want to say this is something we're seeing at other conventions where I think people are just becoming more comfortable going out and expressing their nerddom. And so we're seeing smaller conventions are growing and the medium conventions are getting bigger. And these big ones don't quite know how to handle it, because once you start getting to that size, it's an all or nothing. And these conventions cost so much money that one bad convention could potentially sour other conventions thereafter. I mean, if they were to kind of spend big for next year's East Coast, what is that going to do to Vegas? Are they going to start canceling them? And we've already seen it. We've dropped from 4 to 3. As they start to go bigger, they're reducing the numbers because they just can't keep up.
See,
it's very interesting seeing what Wizards is trying to do to keep conventions going on, because I've gone through the transitions from public pro tours to no public pro tours, only GPs, and then now we don't have GPs. We had, I don't know, something else that was weird in the middle, and now we have these like Magic conventions that are also holding your larger events as well.
Oh yeah, because the Pro Tour was at Chicago.
Yeah, but it feels
it
was
was the
completely
same floor and
disconnected.
people hated it.
Yeah.
Well, and the Pro Tour was taking place like 100 feet from the frickin' show floor, so like people were talking about on Twitter how they literally dropped out of like major high paying events just because they couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
But I'll be the WotC hater, the not pull my punches. What bothers me about Chicago is that it was the first Magic Con by their own admission to sell out, right? But that's not a surprise. Like, they know that number weeks before the convention. And there was clearly a ton of connected rooms, like rooms that were literally connected to where we were, that were not in use. Is it really that hard for them to rent out another room? Like, contact the convention center and say, hey, we're about to have 10,000 people. Can we rent the room right next to us? Especially like when Reed Pop is setting up the floor and they're setting up the command zone. That command zone is one of the smallest command zones I've seen. Yeah. Philadelphia had a bigger command zone. Vegas definitely had a much bigger command zone, and I didn't go to Minneapolis. And like on top of that, the free zone in Chicago basically didn't exist. It was those like 6 tables next to the Pro Tour area. Too. Yeah.
You're talking about, next to the Pro Tour.
Oh yeah, no. Those tables were technically supposed to be for eating, but people kept commandeering them to play Magic.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I just find it so hard to believe that, I mean, yeah, it would have drastically cut into their profits to rent out a room. It probably cost tens of thousands of dollars to rent that room, but you would have had a much better successful convention for it. So it's just weird to me.
Yeah, well, especially because, I mean, they ended up doing it like Saturday, I think, or is it Sunday, where they ended up just setting up more tables in that room.
Sunday. But I don't know how true this is, I don't think that was sanctioned. I think that was a fuck it last minute adjustment, the old fuck it adjustment, because when we went in there Saturday to do I think it was Saturday when we did the little rubber hand slap game. Okay, Friday. Yeah. I remember I went out of that room to go to the bathroom and I passed 2 security guards and one of them was like, "Are they allowed to be in there?" And the other guard literally said, I'll never forget it. She said, "Sweetie, fuck it. We're not getting paid enough for this shit." And I was just like, that's fucking hilarious. That like we literally commandeered that room. But like let's say hypothetically that Sunday was sanctioned. Let's say hypothetically that was on the up and up. Wizards said, hey, this convention's too packed. Let's open up that room. They should have made that decision 2 weeks before the con ever opened. When they were setting up the command zone, count the fucking chairs. Oh, hey, look, we have 200 chairs for a 10,000 attendee convention. Maybe we need a few more chairs.
I don't think that it's out of the realm for them to open up other rooms. I remember judging at a SCG Baltimore way back in the day when I was, still in my early 20s.
Boomer Magic player.
When I was still a Magic player.
Hey, we're loving ourselves in our 30s.
And they actually opened up some of the side rooms down in the Baltimore convention because it was just so big. So like it's not something that is unheard of, right?
Yeah.
Like
Back in my day, we had blocks.
Maybe this is my going back to my HR talking, but we can't really control what it is they're going to do. What we can do is temper our own expectations walking in. So I know going into these Magic cons, I'm probably not going to play a lot of Magic. Most of my Magic is going to happen afterwards. And you mentioned lobby cons, and yeah, they are mostly content creators. But even in Comic Cons that we go to, we end up connecting with other people, playing in hotel rooms, or we meet up in lobbies, smaller. They're not the big lobby cons that content creators speak about, but it's just generally we mean meetups after the convention. And we end up playing Magic, Commander, whatever it is, after anime cons all the time.
Wow.
And so it's that tempering of expectations. When the con is happening, I'm probably not playing. After the fact, yeah, that's when we'll get some games in. What are you laughing at, Bones?
I was laughing at that I have a friend who literally messaged me asking if I'm attending conventions here in Arizona, to decide if he's going to bring his decks or not.
Love that.
Like he messaged me, he's like, "Are you going to the one in Flagstaff?" I was like, "No." And he's like, "Cool. I was just wondering if I was going to get a Magic game." And then there was a convention the week after that one. I was like, "Are you coming?" And he's like, "I'm not attending, but I'm in the area." And I was like, "Cool, I'll take a deck in case."
One time I went to a convention that I am not a content creator for, and I accidentally ended up at a gay orgy. Because I tried to link up with some people. This is like not a content creator yet.
It's real
Don't
nuts
have
to
connections. It was literally nuts. It was nuts in butts. That's what gay people do, right? I don't know. They put their balls. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I definitely know how to. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, no, I was like I met some people in a line, and I was like, oh hey, how do you find things to do after the con? Like, I'm kind of here by myself, and they were like, oh, just join the Facebook group for it, and I accidentally joined the wrong one. It was the con plus 18. And I didn't catch the plus 18 part.
Gotcha.
And so I was in the middle of the con. I had bad service. I was like, hey, where are we meeting up? And somebody was like, oh, come to this room. We're having a Smash party, which I thought meant Smash Brothers. It didn't.
I would also think it would be Smash Brothers.
Yeah. So I literally, I swear to God, like a meme, I'm sitting on the bed with my GameCube controller, and I'm like, are we not playing Smash Brothers? And then I look to my right. Dude providing oral fun to a man. Look over here. Dude providing oral fun to a man. And I'm like, I'm in the wrong place. You gentlemen enjoy your evening. And got up and left. And yeah, so that was my experience lobby conning after a convention. So
maybe
that's
you do
what
need a
I'm
lobby.
terrified of happening.
This is why Yago made the Discord, so you couldn't be in the wrong one.
Yes, actually, 100%. All jokes aside, yes, it was for Philadelphia. It was the first time I ever did this whole Discord coordination for conventions, and it was 100% motivated by that. I was like, I will get you all in one place so I can make sure that I don't
end up
at a gay orgy again.
This Smash party where they don't actually play Smash Brothers.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, for those listening, I know I keep saying gay orgy. I would have been equally as disturbed by a straight orgy. I was not prepared for a lot of stinky hotel sex when I just wanted to play Smash Brothers.
Oh my God.
Smash Brothers Ultimate had just come out, and I was so excited. I was like, man, I'm so good with Little Mac. I get to meet some friends.
There you
I don't
go.
have any friends.
No friends for you.
Favorite thing about lobby cons now is our friend Sam, which he's gonna die when he finds out we organically brought him into this podcast too. But I was laughing because obviously Sam's like with us 99% of our time, and he's gone to both Vegas with us. When initially Eli wasn't going to go to Chicago with me. Sam was like, "Oh, you're going? I'm going too." And I was like, "Sweet, I'll have one person with me." I was laughing really hard because I was looking at the people, as you said, it's mostly content creators, right? And I'm laughing that there's all these content creators, and then my friend Sam, who's just like, "I don't give a fuck who you are, just won't play Magic," and I'm just sitting there laughing.
Yeah.
Because like. No clue.
This person has
no
tens
idea.
of thousands of followers. Like they are a micro niche celebrity. And he's like, "Hey, bro, you want to play my Necrosword?"
Yeah.
No, he's literally just like, shuffle up, let's go, bitch.
I love that. Honestly, like I do kind of love that because I had a moment, even as a content creator, I had a moment like that in Chicago. I was sitting next to, see, I feel bad. I can't remember his name now. I think it's Danny Phantom or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, dude
I
has
think
like
we had the same moment roughly around the same time.
yeah, dude has 8 million followers. And I,
Oh my God.
yes. And I leaned over to Better Call Saul and I literally was like, who is this fucking guy? I was like, who's this random fucking guy? Because he'd been sitting at that table forever, and I was like, can he fucking move so we can get some new people in here? And then he was like, dude, how do you not know who that is? I was like, should I? And then he showed me his account, and I was like, oh no, I should. Okay, I got that. My bad. My bad. He's good. You can stay.
You did that
Okay.
to me when we were trying to leave fucking Philly, and you're like, hang on, I need to go say hi to Kess. I gotta get Kess in one of my 1-minute videos. And I'm like, who the fuck is Kess? And he's like, oh, he like makes some games. He's a pretty cool guy. And like, no, he like actually makes games and like has the #1 game selling in fucking Barnes and Noble right now. And you're like, yeah, no, let's go talk to Kess real quick. It's no big deal.
Your example's a little not as great though, because at least Danny is not like a magic creator. Kess is one of the most well-known magic creators in our space, and you're like, never heard of him.
You
I
have
don't
never
watch
heard
TikTok.
Well, if you
never
want
heard
better
of-
examples,
You've
compare
never
also
heard
there.
of Patrick Sullivan, so
I still, I feel like deja vu because we go through this every. I still don't know who that is. Should I?
yes.
Do you two know who that is?
I know nobody.
No.
Oh,
Yes.
I just
No!
wanted
I
to
feel
call
better
you
about
out.
it. I
At
feel
least
better about it.
You had this once before. You were primed for this.
oh my
But
gosh,
Bones had.
guys.
We talked about it in the podcast. Bones had a heck of an interaction.
Multiple interactions with people that I should probably know in the magic circuit. Like,
All right. Give us a good one. Who's the biggest person you didn't recognize? Uh-oh.
I have two.
Uh-oh.
So, which one should I start with? The one with the
Does it-
sticker?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So, Vegas with Killer Cosplay, so the last one, right? First time I got my stickers, my little Chandra stickers, they look fucking phenomenal, so I was really proud of them. And just the way I hand them out is if somebody says anything about my cosplay, I'm like, here's a sticker. So, group of people coming this way, sublimated channel fireball shirts. Should have been my first
Okay.
clue, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool. Somebody comes up to me, he goes, oh, I think it was Killer Cosplay, funny enough. He's like, I love your Killer Cosplay. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I hand him a sticker. And I was like, well,
Did
that's
he
my
have
sticker.
really nice hair?
Yes, and a nice beard.
Does Rita have a beard now?
Just
Go on. So sorry.
let her tell her
No,
story, please.
I
So sorry.
hand sticker, right? I'm like, sweet, right? Don't think anything about it. Weeks pass by. Eli's watching something on YouTube, and I'm watching it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that person looks familiar. I was like, I think I gave him a sticker. And Eli's like, just stops and looks at me, and he's like, do you know who that is? I was like, obviously not, because I just said I think I gave him a sticker. Why should I? And he goes, that's LSV. And I was like, who's that?
Not me currently not knowing who that is.
LSV is a very well-known
wait, that's right.
professional player.
Yeah, one of the
and
big
he does,
professional people. Yeah.
Commentary now, I believe.
Yes,
yeah.
I think this is the third
Magic.
time I've had this conversation, and I always forget who he is.
He's also
Yeah,
in the
Magic Hall
Magic
of
Hall of
Famer.
Fame. Yep.
Yeah, and I was just like, nope, I had no clue who that was, and so now we have to find a way to confirm or deny if that was him, because I'm like 90% sure that I handed a sticker to LSV.
I love that.
The other one I had was the first time I went to a Magic Con, first Magic 30. I'm hanging out with Mox Cube, and we're just walking around, right? Somebody comes up to Mox. Mox talks to him, takes a picture. And I was like, cool. And he goes, yeah, I love seeing Gavin. And I was like, I don't know who that is. And I like later tell Eli, and Eli's like, you were like, you were right there with Gavin. And I was like,
Like
again,
the
should I-
Gavin Vierhe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Bones,
he's
that's the
awesome.
better story. That's the better story. Of the
Well,
two,
here's the
that's
best
the better
part.
story.
Did you miss that TikTok of the picture with me and Mox and Gavin?
I love that TikTok. It's one of my favorite ones you've ever done.
Yeah,
It's just me,
so-
you, and me, and your friend Steve.
Yeah, so that one preceded, like, so next time comes around, Mox is, like, I'm with Mox, we're at the pajama party. I went to say hi to like Zebex and Talia, and Alyssa was there. So like went to say hi to them. Mox is with me because it's Elijah Wood playing, and that he's in heaven. And Gavin comes and starts talking, and then he snaps that photo, right? And now my call to fame every time I see Gavin is like, yeah, that was my TikTok, and he's like, oh, and I was like, God damn it.
I love that.
Great, that's how you know me.
See, I don't know, Bones. I don't know if you have this problem, but like all throughout Chicago, probably 20 or 30 times, people who I probably know very well, have interacted with 1,000 times, come over and say hi to me, but they don't tell me who they are. And I have this weird thing that like I could have stitched and duetted with you 1,000,000 fucking times. We could have played Spell Table 100,000 times. When I see you in person, in fact, even you, Bones, actually, when you first walked up to our table in Vegas, and it was you two and
Probably Mox.
Mox, yeah. And I remember looking you dead in the face, and I was like, do I know this person?
I mean, it doesn't help that I'm also a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Also, all of us white people look the same. Although, oh, well, you're technically not white.
I'm Mexican vanilla, okay?
There you go. Sorry.
Vanilla.
Yeah.
This is technically not a podcast of 4 white people. We do have diversity.
The best part is that people always assume that it's like, oh yeah, you had family years back in Mexico. Like, no, I'm born in Mexico. I have dual citizen. My birth certificate's in Spanish. So like it's funny when people start to be like, yeah, sure. You know, down the line. I'm like, no.
Sure you are. Yeah. Okay.
Not
Good
down
for
the line.
you.
Technically I'm first generation, which is bonkers.
It's
At
like
least
those
my
TikTok
mom's
trends
side.
where it's like, but you're not real Mexican. It's like, am I supposed to be like wearing a sombrero and
Yes.
eating tacos and like, come on. But yeah, so
I was
like,
to say Hela has a sombrero. That's on Reddit.
love that. Actually, I technically have a poncho on my chair right now from Bolivia.
Oh my
my
gosh, me
father-in-law gave it
too.
to me. I actually love this thing. It's so fucking warm.
Oh, ponchos
I
are the
love it.
best.
And it's also
Yeah.
great because I can be like butt naked and walking around with a poncho, and it's like I'm technically wearing clothes.
I don't think that's how that works.
I will tell this damn story, but yeah, probably like 20 or 30 times, people came up to me. We're having like a full length conversation. I'm doing my absolute best to not expose that I don't know who this person is. They walk away, and then like somebody with me is like, "Oh, hey, who was that?" And I'm like, "I don't fucking know, no clue."
Did you
It's like,
figure out who you promised a game to?
nope.
Izzetrix, have you heard this story?
No, so
No.
if we're talking about the same story, it was actually because we keep talking about Mox. I thought I was talking to Mox, somebody who I spent a lot of time with in Vegas. I know this man's face, but this person had like, I don't know, like a pompadour, some kind of like hat and a mask.
Fast.
But every other feature, the hair, the facial hair, the body type, like the voice, I was like, oh, this is Mox. And they came up to me. I'm talking to them. We're talking for a good like 20 minutes. You know, oh, how's the con? You know, how was your trip here? I think I even asked this person how their farm's doing.
No,
And they were
you
like,
didn't.
oh.
But you were going to.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
you told
that's
me
right.
this later. I saw you
I was
like
this close
right
to
after.
asking them. Yeah, and then they were like, okay, well, I gotta go catch up with some people, and they walked away, and I came over to Bones, and I was like, hey, have you seen Mox yet? And you were like, he's not here. I was like, yes, he. Like, no, he's right over. I just talked to him, and you were like, no, I spoke to him. He's not here. And I was like, who the fuck did I just talk to?
Oh my gosh.
And by the way,
So-
on the 5% chance that whoever you are, if you're listening to this, I am severely sorry. Please DM me who you were. This is going to haunt me for the rest of my life.
You promised him a game and everything, and I remember seeing
Yeah.
it when you said it. And I was like, yeah, that dude looks like Mox, but he's not here. And you were like, who the fuck did I just promise a game to?
I have people that know me or recognize me from like the altars booth or like, you know, concert or whatever. And they come up to talk to me like, hey, do you remember me from blah 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 event? And I'm like, sure don't. And I tell that to the tell them because I'm not gonna pretend like I know who you are. But if they get altars done, they're like, oh well, you did a Stoneforge Mystic for me, or you did this card for me. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that card. That was super neat. I'm glad you like it. I don't remember you though. So, like,
Yeah.
Mox was the first person who ever like recognized me. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're Calavera cosplay," and I was like, "What do you mean you recognize me?" Like, I was like, "What is?" I had to like go. I felt so bad because I was just like, I had to go like figure out who this was, especially because Mox doesn't show his face as like a lot. He does it more now, but he doesn't show it that much. And I was like, who is this person? And still to this day, when people come up to me, like I had for the first time somebody come up and be like, I love you. Can you sign my Maybach? Because I love listening to your guys' podcast. And I was like, what do you mean you recognize? Like, what?
Listen,
Love that.
I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting to get to this point. All right,
Yeah.
but
Eli, you got to get used to it too, man. Like I said, you're one of us now. It's gonna start happening.
Yeah. I mean, somebody asked you to sign the mat too, no?
Yeah, I got a couple signature requests.
I would
All
honestly,
right.
I would be really offended if they came up and they're like, "Oh, Bones from Sugar Scrub Podcast," and get away, you. Like,
that other guy.
See,
I'm
the
the
thing
I'm,
is,
I'm the
wouldn't.
man that talks.
No,
I'd be like, whew.
no, not at all. Because that's kind of the point of the podcast was the world doesn't need another white guy on a mic.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Not to
as
call
you're
you
on,
out.
as you're on a podcast co-hosted by a white guy with a mic. No,
But
honestly,
what-
I've said this
Yeah.
a million times, but like, and I'm not shy about this. I don't care if this sounds terrible. I've wanted to do this podcast for a very, very long time. I was just like, I refuse to do another all white dude podcast. Like, there's just too many of us out there. And when Iz reached out, I was like, yes, I have my in, and I actually get along with you. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, that's very similar to us. And if you'll notice when you listen to the podcast, it very much is an interview style. I will give my insights, but more often than not, it's me asking questions because it's Bones' perspective that people need to hear. It's a newer player, a female player, a cosplayer, someone who's a non-traditional Magic the Gathering player. Those are the stories that need to be heard. If you want to
Yeah.
hear my story, you can ask 100 people and you'll probably get a similar story. Not the same, but a similar one. But holding space for people that need to be heard that are often silenced or drowned out by the noise, that's the reason we started that up.
Yeah. And I like there's, having, as I've mentioned a few times before, a Hispanic wife and, Hispanic family and everything. It's really nice to have more Latina voices elevated in the community because there's a lot of voices out there. They're just not being heard. So like it's great, to, like Iz on this podcast, a woman, non-binary, LGBTQ spectrum, like all that stuff. Like it's great to have
lot of
that
things.
these perspectives that, we can, although we don't really talk about wholesome shit on this podcast, but
We do not
That's-
talk about wholesome shit. That's
Yeah.
you guys can have that.
which is something I love about your guys' podcast. Like honestly, like I've listened to all 4 episodes and it's definitely like, compared to us, it's night and day, but that was kind of what we were going for, is we wanted something a little different than what's out there. And honestly, what you guys are doing is a little different than what's out there too. So I think it's what makes it like so digestible and, interesting to listen to. So
Yeah, it's super neat. I do like that it's not just your stereotypical, oh, here's good meta decks, or here, this is, how my last tournament did and what I'm gonna do better for it, or, generic. There's all of that. We have that. That's the thing.
There's 2,000 podcasts out there that are like, here is the best card for this deck. This is what you should run in your format. I really liked your guys' discussion on expressing yourself through your deck, because I feel like not a lot of podcasts talk about those kind of things. Talk about the human aspect. How do you guys start every episode? It's the person beyond the magic or something like that.
It's the magic beyond the cards.
I was
Yeah.
close. I got beyond and I got magic, but yeah, like I like that you guys are doing that. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, blow a little smoke up your butts. We'll get wholesome for 2 seconds. Yeah. So anyway, the gay orgy that I stumbled into.
Oh my gosh.
I actually did strongly consider after the
Starting a gay orgy?
I was gonna say,
I mean,
that's a great segue.
Maybe.
I mean, pegging is God's will. That's all I'm saying.
Listen,
no,
you cannot talk about pegging on every episode. Every episode.
I can.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I can.
It sounded like a gauntlet being thrown down.
I mean, I can. Listen,
What?
why? Okay, I'm just gonna throw this point out
Yeah,
there
you're
again.
just gonna throw it out
listen,
here.
I'm just
You
gonna throw it out there.
Why is your happy button up your butthole? Why's your prostate up there if God didn't want you to get pegged? Yes,
Why
we know.
didn't He give them to women? Why is it only in men? To me, that's a guideline. But anyway, what I was actually trying to say is that after the Magic New Girl episode, I did think it would be funny if we did every episode a different slang term that we encourage our audience not to Google, knowing that they will.
Christ.
But then I was like, no, I don't want to drag all you down to hell with me. You two are very lovely people with very kind souls and very wholesome audiences.
We might scar some people. I mean, we've done that to each other, but you know what? I don't know about including the rest of the world.
Yeah. Keeping it wholesome, I guess. I know you're considering exploring cosplaying a little more.
I have been thinking about doing cosplays. I've been wanting to do it for, I don't know, since like 2013. My biggest holdback is my fear of failure, and I have to be perfect at everything because, it's if I don't, then I'm just terrible at life, and there's no point in living. So
Right.
that's great. That's nice and wholesome, right?
I would say I'm on the other end of the spectrum where I may be a little too comfortable failing and don't expect anything. So,
Oh my
things come
gosh,
out of
no.
shock.
I have a sewing machine. I've used it twice to make masks. They came out like masks, so that was great. Good job, me. I have an entire unused roll of black Worbla for when I am going to maybe make a cosplay. I have my
See, you
silhouette.
did what I do. You did what I do whenever I hyperfixate on a hobby. I buy all the supplies, and then I'm like, yeah, I'll figure this out.
And I am too scared to use any of it because I don't want to mess up.
Although with the sewing machine, Eli, you taught me something in Chicago that apparently in the competitive Magic scene, what is it, embroidery and sewing kind of hold like a little more weight than certain other techniques.
I was gonna say Bones can speak to this significantly more
I
than
will
I.
say, funny enough, magic scenes actually, I feel like sewing holds a little bit less, almost.
Okay.
I was talking like afterwards with some judges, because I think one of the things in my like personal opinion of the magic conventions, and maybe a little bit why I made killer cosplay, was that a lot of times the people who judge aren't cosplayers themselves. So it sounds like it wouldn't be like a thing, but sometimes like they'll see certain things in a different light, right? It was really refreshing to have like Olivia, who makes a lot of their costumes, and she was able to see like just different aspects of things that like other judges don't. Like that's not to say that the other judges aren't good at their job, but they're looking at it as like a whole presentation rather than like looking at the craftsmanship of my work, which is what's supposed to be like a cosplay competition is like your craftsmanship, rather like a masquerade is more of your presentation. Like masquerades tend to have like a performance. So it was really nice. Yeah. It was really nice to have like Olivia, who makes costumes, and she was able to kind of like look at a little bit more detailed of like what it actually took for me to build the competition. And I was talking afterwards, and a lot of competitions that I go to, conventions, sewing holds a chokehold. Like if you didn't sew like a ball gown or something, like if a ball gown's in there, it's like an automatic win because sewing has such a high prestige. I would say Magic Cons have a little bit more of a chokehold on like prop work and like foam smithing, which is unfair when you have like it's Dork Spawn, the person who took expert. They handmade their piping, and like little things like.
That was the Robo Angel Wings, right?
No, that was Dorkspawn was expert. She was Celestia something.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay.
Yes, and I think they're non-binary.
Oh.
If I remember correctly. But yeah,
My bad.
they handmade all their piping and like hand embroidered, hand everything. And there was one competitor that did historically accurate 18th century patterns and like hand knitted their socks and things
I remember
like
that.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Every competition will have kind of different things that it accidentally like overvalues rather than it kind of being.
So it's
like
kind of a crapshoot. It's kind of just do the best you can, and
Like know your audience kind of type thing.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Know the convention setting.
Like I assumed the Killer Cosplay was gonna not do as great as it did because I was like, it's a giant green onesie.
Right,
like,
like
I
you
put a lot
bought
of-
the onesie, and then put the stuff one, or did you
No,
make
I
the
sewed
onesie
that.
too?
I
Okay.
sewed
Yeah,
it all.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the Magic events, because I remember I almost entered the amateur contest in Vegas, and I remember reading through the rules. It's like only a certain percentage of your costume can be pre-bought. You have to make most of it, right?
Yeah, it's like 80% of it has to be either like handmade or altered. So like you could alter
Yeah.
things. So like Chandra's goggles are because I still to this day don't know how to do lenses. I bought like steam pump goggles and then I like shaved bits down and rebuilt it up with like clay foam. So like you can
Okay.
buy a base and alter things. Like her like undershirt, like that was pre-bought, my socks were pre-bought, but like everything else is either like handmade or altered in some way, shape, or form.
I have kind of a thought on the lens thing. I know this is such a hyper thing to fixate on there, but so I actually used to cosplay back when I was like 19, and I did a lot of like Power Ranger cosplaying, and so I would make the lenses for the masks, and the way I would do it is I would take like really thin plexiglass, and which is basically plastic, and use a heat gun to get it to the shape you need, and then you take car tint, like for car windows,
Oh,
because
yeah,
it
yeah,
comes
yeah.
in colors and it comes in all different like strengths. So like for something like those, you would get the really low like 5 to 10% tint,
Okay.
or for something like a Power Ranger helmet, I would do the like 80-90% tint, and then it's literally just like a sheet that you put over the thing, you push
Yeah,
it
it's
on,
just like
and if
window
you
cling.
pretty much
Yeah.
yeah, and then you cut the excess off, and boom, there you go, you got lenses.
Sweet. I will have to remember that. Like, I will say though, like, I forget that. I think people don't always know this, but Chandra was like my first real cosplay.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, she's like, hey, don't worry about like being perfect or anything, but hey, look at this
Yeah.
this first one that I did, no big deal.
I'm
I mean,
totally
I
okay
had-
failing. Now look at my flawless cosplay.
It took a few iterations to do that. This was also a COVID project. Like I had decided I was going to do it, and then the only reason I got all the chainmail done, it's underneath Killer Cosplay, so you can't quite see it, but like that's all handmade. And I just sat there with like a video, and like figured out through YouTube, through trial and error, how to freaking make a 4-in-1 chainmail. And once it came to the shapes, I was like, a tube, add arms, fill things. It's got like a foldy bit. And people were like, chainmail doesn't fold like that. And I literally just was like, I don't know, make a triangle, connect it, have a gap. Like, I kind of just tried
People
things until
also
it
don't
worked.
planeswalk, so don't tell me how chainmail works.
Pretty much. But yeah.
Also, I just noticed, I think your Chandra cosplay is that version of Chandra, I think.
Funny enough, it is
Or
the
very close.
Funko Pop doll. Not like the actual Funko. It's the like, it is a Funko brand, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
the little
Yeah, I know what
doll.
you're talking about. Yeah. Like the
Yeah,
Oh, I
figure.
love that.
That
I love
was
that.
the one of the best tips that I ever got. Is if you're able to get a hold of a physical miniature or like any type of like thing, it's easy because especially when you think of like animes, they're kind of like oddly shaped and they defy gravity. They figured out how to like make it in real life if you can get a miniature. So I thought of that and I was like, I'm just gonna buy this little doll and then I could see things in 3D. And I mean, Chandra doesn't have like too many things, but like I remember talking to Eric DeChamps, and he was trying to figure out how I did the tube, because in a lot of the Chandra ones, it just kind of connects like up here, like up where your shoulder is. It doesn't actually connect to any part of the like thing. But the Chandra doll, I believe, actually connects into the like the chest plate. So I was like, yeah. I was like,
Yeah,
chest
often
plate
when
it
artists
is.
when the artists are drawing characters, half the time they're just like, stick some plates on some shit. Who cares?
Yeah.
Make
So
her
that
look
was, like,
cool.
the best advice I got is that like if you're having a hard time visualizing how something is supposed to like work in like not a 2D sense, is find like a model, because they have to figure that out to make it 3D.
That's super cool. I need to figure my shit out and overcome my fear of perfection, because I told the Commander Sealed people that I would be debuting a Niv-Mizzet cosplay there. So
That's in like not that many months.
it's fine. It's fine. We'll figure it's fine.
It's just
Is
July,
Doggo gonna
right?
be no? You want Nico Bolas? I was gonna ask if you're gonna be Nib Biz's butt, but that's Nib Biz. That was Nico Bolas.
You know what? Don't provide context for that. Don't provide
Oh
context
my
for that. No.
It's not in July, is it?
I think it is. I think it's
It's in October.
Or maybe it's just the deadline to raise money is in July.
The deadline to raise money is July 31st.
Yeah.
Okay, that don't do that. That's not funny. That's
I
No,
feel like
I
we
have
should
it on-
actually provide context for the Nicol Bolas butt joke.
I have it planned out. I want to do like a breastplate and then a kind of like a waist like your Chandra has. But my goal is to have my Izzet tattoo on my hip to be able to show. Is like one of the main things that I want to be able to do.
Mm.
I would
Which
say
is a little tricky without showing my entire ass.
it'll just take some planning. Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to get patterns. So Chandra's breastplate was two of I'm trying to think of which. There's two cosplayers that start with a K, and I'm trying to remember
Kamu?
which one of them.
Kami. That's who I've been Kamumi, something like that.
Kamui.
Yeah.
Kamui. There you go. I was like, it's Kimpatsu and Kamui, and I couldn't remember which one. It's Kamui cosplay.
Okay, that's who I one of the big ones that I follow.
Yeah, I was just like, it's the two of them with the K. I was just like, which one is it? What is it? What's the thing, babe, that we get the bundles through?
Humble Bumble.
Yes.
Humble.
Humble.
I have it.
We'll do
I also have that.
cosplay bundles.
I
Humble
have
bundle.
the collection of
Humble
the
Bumble.
cosplay
Perfect.
bundle.
I
Humble. Yes.
did one of the breastplates for the front and then a different breastplate for the back, and then just altered them.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I just needed to get like the rough shape, and then was
Did
able
you do
to
the
alter
saran
them.
wrap thing? Did you saran
Not
wrap
with
yourself?
that one, but I should have. I am, in comparison to them, oddly portioned apparently, and a lot bigger. So what I like, however they suggest to like increase it for like sizing, it just never works for me. So
No.
what I'll do is I'll saran wrap myself with the duct tape, and then I'll just trace their pattern onto the duct tape on my body, so that way
Right, yeah.
no, I can upscale it to fit correctly. That's what I did for my Revan chest plate. So we'll see. But yeah, that's that. I like use base patterns and then you can modify it, because it came down and then I just like cut it to give that little swoop up.
Yeah, that makes me feel better that you're telling me to do what I have had in my little brain to do. Just to have
Also-
it done.
Is you're kind of lucky that you're like I don't know. I was gonna say humanizing, but no. What's the opposite of like? I don't know. I'm bad with wordsing. There's a words for when you like if you were to make a human version of a broom. There's a word for that. When you yeah when you make a
calling
human
me a broom?
No.
Anthropomorphize?
yeah that you're anthropomorphizing a dragon.
Yeah,
So you don't have to be like perfectly accurate to Niv Mizzet because Niv Mizzet is not a 2-foot tall white woman. So like you don't have to.
I am 5'1". Thank
Yeah,
you
okay.
very much.
On a stool.
Wow.
I was gonna say, Bones, you actually did this with a King cosplay. For
I did.
any fans of Owl House, King is a little monster dog
He's a
with like a
demon.
skull. He's a
Excuse me,
demon.
he's the king of demons.
Okay, I'm sorry. He's the king of demons.
Excuse me, the king of demons. How dare you?
But she
Hashtag
turned
cancel
that,
Eli.
she turned that into a cosplay that fits her as a person rather than being a one-for-one
can-
creation.
I love him. Oh,
So
my
that's the character. But then she turned it in something that fit her where she's at.
Right.
Gonna go grab the helmet.
They
Oh
made
my
like a little
God.
helmet.
Holy shit, that's so
It's
good.
like a little Cubone.
And then, funny enough, I used a Cubone helmet as the pattern because I couldn't
there you
figure
go.
it out. My favorite part is that the horn comes off.
Aw.
Does he like his horn break? Yeah.
When he starts the show, it's broken, and then as
Spoilers.
he develops as a character. What does it
Spoiler
say?
alert.
It's not saying anything. He'll eventually, yeah. But I love it's just a little. It won't work with my little cat ears, but it's a helmet.
God, that's
And you
so
can see out
good.
the nose. Is that what
Yeah.
you see?
There's a
That's cool.
little fuzzy bit right here.
Oh, that's super cool.
What's that
Oh
made
my
out of?
Gosh.
This foam. This
Like EVA
probably
foam?
10 millimeter EVA foam.
Okay.
And then like the teeth, this bit right here, craft foam, like clay foam. Yeah, same thing with this. This is how I did clothes as well. I have like a cutter tool, like a circular cutter tool. Honestly, the best cosplay tool I've ever gotten. But I had a bunch of leftover circles from making clothes as spear. So I put that as a base, and then I put aluminum foil around it, and then put clay foam on top. And that's how I made the foam horns without spending a ton of money on clay foam.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is why she wins MagicCon competitions. Because for those just listening on Spotify, what she just showed us was really fucking cool and really, really well done.
And
So-
it was
I'll share a picture with you
seamless.
guys.
It was seamless looking. There wasn't like any like rough scratches. It was really nicely painted. It was super duper cool. And the king is a little bit, I don't know, maybe more obscure, but it's definite. Like if you know what Cubone looks like, it's like that, but kind of neater.
Yeah.
My personal favorite thing I ever did though with that is like not even so much that is that he has a Burger Queen crown. And so I literally went to Burger King, got a crown, and then I cricketed out the logo so I changed it to Burger Queen. And I just walked around conventions with a Burger Queen crown on, and people were
That's
I love that.
losing it over the crown. If you guys haven't seen Owl House, I highly recommend it.
Shout
very
out to
good.
Owl House.
It's
Shout
out to
got
agents.
great
Shout out.
representation.
Oh, that's good.
Cool.
It
That's
has
super
a
good.
phenomenal representation of a non-binary character. I like bullied my work husband to watch it, and I was like, "You need to watch it because you're gonna love this character." And they were like, "You were right. It's great." And I was like, "Yeah." And the
I
main
know.
character's Latin.
All right. So once you're done with this episode, everybody go watch Owl House.
Yep.
Or you're a racist.
I don't think that's how that works.
No, it does. You heard it here. And
Uh-huh,
and a homophobe somehow. Yep.
Well, I mean,
Somehow
also great
just add that in.
representation of that.
Guilt is the best way to get people to watch things.
I don't think that's how
On
that works.
on that note, we'll go ahead and
Is that your controversy ending? Is that it? Is that it?
No, I was actually really bummed because we try to have a controversy in every episode, and I can't really like I was digging, and we don't want to get something too controversial where we're like specifically talking about a person, but like WotC hasn't done any fucked up shit in the last week, so they went a whole week under the radar. The only funny thing I will say is if you have listened to the previous episode, I think the previous one was when we were talking about Infinite Tokens, right?
Oh, my Infinite tokens came in today. I got my
Yeah.
Infinite tokens now. I'm a cool kid.
Get this.
Yay.
WotC gave them a preview card.
I did see that.
The Infinitokens account got to do a preview card while WotC is actively taking half their business from them.
Yeah,
So
I saw
that's
that.
fun. That's fun.
That's
but
our
yeah,
controversy.
we don't really have any controversy this week. So you two got the controversy-free episode. I'm happy
Wholesome
for you.
episode.
I mean, it
So-
sounds like right on track for having
Yeah,
both
it's
of
on
us
brand.
on.
Yeah.
Honestly, you two, I will say, of all the people that I have met in this community over the last like 3 years, it's just something about you two. I just want you to fucking succeed in life. Like, you
Aw.
two are so amazing and wholesome and accepting and fun and talented and entertaining. And yeah, I've said this about a few people, but when we first started this podcast, there was like a short list of names that I was like, at some point we will have these people on, and you two were on that list. So
Yeah.
This is true.
yeah, we'll end on a wholesome note. On that note, if you two have any words of wisdom for the community, anything you want to plug, anything you want to say, we'll let you end on that, and then we'll go ahead and call this a night for the old Snarg's House of Sin.
Bones, I think I've said enough, so I leave it up to you.
But have you?
I love
Have
you.
you?
He said
you are
so
now-
much. He has not shut up this
He's
entire
just
time.
he's just like the most supportive husband in the world. Like, listen,
Yeah.
if for
Dog is
whatever, I'm,
Doggo's like,
I'm
I'm,
just
gonna
saying.
ask these questions about cosplaying to Eli, and he's like, hey man, no. Bones has got
yeah,
this.
like, I tried like 8 times to be like, hey Eli, would you like to be a part of the conversation? He's like, but what about my lovely wife? She's the perfect genius expert lady.
He
It's
does
like,
this to me on a daily, by the way. We'll be someplace and he's like, and Bones. And I'm like, fuck off.
no,
I was like,
even
you were beautiful and amazing, but no.
even in my chaotic 1-minute interview with him, there's like 15 seconds in, he starts talking about you. And like in my head, I'm like, dude, plug the podcast or something. But he's like, she just won. She's great. And I'm like, I'm interviewing you.
You love your wife. That's awesome. Great. I'm so happy for you.
But I love it. We stand Eli around here. We
Yeah.
we stand supportive husbands.
I love when I post something about him and people are like, I want an Eli. Or it's like, Eli's all our husbands now. And I'm like, yeah, he's great. Trust me.
Bro,
And
I want an Eli.
I'm waiting for the day when eventually I get some dude that's like, I can do better. And I'm like, can you? Can you put up with this?
Oh, if you ever get that, the community, you won't have to say a word. This will be like that time that dude came at you in the Sailor Moon video. It'll be like that times 10. Like, we stand
much.
Eli in this community.
I'm waiting for the day that happens, and I could just be like, first of all, you would have to put up with me, and I don't know how that man does it. I was hoping in the cosplay competition that I was gonna get, because they were kind of alternating questions, right? And I was hoping I would get like, is there anybody you want to say thank you to, so I could, be like, thank you to Eli, because one, I was gonna go, but I wasn't gonna take killer cosplay. I wasn't gonna compete. And then he was like, think about all these logistics for traveling, and eventually I said, fuck off, I'm doing it, because that is exactly how we work. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And he's like, okay, well, and it worked out great. But like,
A voice of
obviously-
wisdom, but also very supportive. That's what we
Yes.
need in life.
Yes,
Like
it
those.
works out well. But yeah, I was gonna obviously be like, thank you, because like I have been promising him a like handler free con for so long. And I was gonna be like, it'll be Chicago if you were coming. I was like, you don't have to be with me. It's fine. I can handle it myself, right? And a little bit is him. Like he does this to himself. And I'm like, do something else. And he's like, no, I'm here.
How fucking
handler.
dare you?
I was hoping to get that question, and I was laughing now, and I was like, well, you're not getting out. I can't give you Vegas as a handler free con because I'm competing for Grandmaster now. So sorry.
Well, he almost had a moment in Chicago. We were supposed to kidnap you to have a guys' night, and then guys' night just fell apart because girls' night fell apart, and
Yep.
we all got stuck together anyway. But
I tried, but
all right, so Eli has no closing words of wisdom other than that he loves his wife and thinks she's perfect. Bones, any words of wisdom for the community?
is this gonna be our sugar scrub moment? Haha.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, plug it if you want. Yeah.
I'm terrible at plugging myself, and that's why when Eli throws it, even the podcast, Eli's like, "Where can they find you?" I'm like, "Fuck, I'm never prepared for this."
The internet. I don't know.
I don't know. I want mine.
Fucking Google us.
Yeah, go ahead. Find us on the Sugar Scrubs podcast on Spotify. It is on my link tree on TikTok and Instagram, Calavera_cosplay. I would say just live your life unapologetically you. And for us, it's unapologetically nerdy. And I will die on that hill. They can pry my magic cards out of my cold dead hands.
Hell
Good
yeah.
hill.
And make sure that when you join a Facebook group for a convention, if it says 18 plus, pay very close attention to the group meetup that you're meeting up at.
To the activities that were planned.
I'll have
Bring
to
an
keep
HR
an eye
rep
on
with
the
you.
tabs for Vegas. Oh yeah, if you marry an HR representative, you have a built-in manager. It's great.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Do you have any closing words before we close the bar, so to speak?
My partner is also great and supportive, and he does IT stuff for me. I don't
She's
know
only
about
saying that because he edits and he's gonna hear this.
No. With this program, I get to edit, so he doesn't even get to
Ooh.
hear it anymore. No, he's great, and we like supportive partners around here. I guess that's what we're doing.
I'm trying to spread a rumor that my wife beats me because I think it's funny. So I don't.
You want to talk
don't
about
fit this
people
category.
spreading rumors?
We don't need to tell this one.
Oh, we're gonna tell this one.
We got
I
5 minutes. We got 5 minutes.
I got one too. You go first, and then I'll go with mine.
All right, we got 10 minutes. I'll pay for the extra recording. What's up?
I'll make it quick. So
Sure.
Eli used to work with the business sides of a church. So this church is very helps people cross the border, blah 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 blah, right? So a lot of his coworkers are very much.
I've heard this story.
You've
Yeah.
heard this one. Very
It's so
much
good.
a little bit of social justice warriors sometimes, right? And he loves to tell people when he worked here, he would say, "Bones swam across the border." And they would be like, ha, 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 whatever, no, right? And then eventually I would visit Eli at work, and then my mom would call, and I would start speaking Spanish. And I don't know if people have heard me speak Spanish, but hola, mami, ¿cómo estás? Te quiero mucho. Yo estoy haciendo esto este fin de semana. And they would just, freeze. And they kind of have this moment where they're like, could it be real?
If I'm being completely honest right now, when I was coming up with topics before the podcast, I was like, how can I get them to tell that story? Because it's so fucking funny. But
There you go.
But I was like, how do I be like, hey Eli, can you tell the story about the time you called Bones an illegal immigrant?
He did it more than once. That was the thing.
The worst part is I would forget about it. I would say it as a joke and I'd forget, and it'd be months later that this would pay off.
All right, mine's less wholesome, so we can
That's
just,
so
we'll
good.
just
That's
end it
wholesome?
on the yeah, that's pretty funny and wholesome. Mine's way worse than that. Okay, have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, we'll end on that note. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't know. Go pay for our Ko-fi. Give us money. We love you. Bye.
Like,
Bye.
All right.